All right, the other thing we're going to start today is the pronoun en. The pronoun en replaces any phrase that's de plus a noun. So this includes the partitive articles we just looked at. This includes quantities. It also includes certain expressions that just happen to use a de. So for example, the phrase parler de, to speak about something. We can still replace that de and then whatever that noun is after it with the pronoun en. It doesn't always translate very smoothly into English, as you might guess by looking at that list of things that it can replace. It's a pretty wide variety of things. We generally stick around the concept of some or any, just like with our partitive articles, but don't hold yourself to that too strongly. It's not always true. You have to be extremely careful, though. Just because you see a de does not mean you can just use the pronoun en for the heck of it. You have to be extremely careful not to replace possessives. So, for example, in a sentence like Tu as les livres de Marc, this is not a sentence in which you could use en, even though we have a de followed by a noun, Marc. If we think about this in English, it's really obvious. Do you have Marc's books? Do you have the books of Marc? We couldn't replace that with some or any. Do you have the books some? Do you have the books any? It doesn't really work. When de is meaning of, and we're describing something belonging to something else, so in this case, the books of Marc, we can't use en for that. So be very careful. Let's look at some ones where we can replace it. If we look at a sentence like Tu veux de la soupe, where do you find that de plus a noun? Right, pretty obvious, right? En replaces the entire phrase de la soupe. When we go to put this into the sentence, it's going to go in front of the verb in the exact same place that direct and indirect objects did previously in the semester. Tu en veux? Do you want some or do you want any? Obviously, just like with all the rest of our pronouns, we have to have some kind of reference to what it is we're talking about first. So if we're talking about soup in our conversation and I say, tu en veux? It's really obvious. I'm talking about the soup. But if I just walk up to you randomly out of nowhere and go, tu en veux? Do I want some what? So make sure that you are leaving at least one reference first before we start replacing things. Let's practice. If you have the sentence, Je voudrais de la pizza, what are you going to replace with en, and how is that sentence going to end up looking? J'en voudrais. J'en voudrais. We replaced de la pizza with en. We stuck it in front of the verb. Okay? And remember, je loves to contract. J'en. J'en voudrais. How about nous faisons de l'omelette? Nous en faisons, replacing de l'omelette with en and putting it in front of the verb. Nous en faisons. How about tu as un peu de pain? Tu en as un peu? We're still going to leave the un peu since it doesn't come after the de. Do you have a little of it? How about j'ai beaucoup de pommes? J'en ai beaucoup. Just like un peu, leave the beaucoup since it comes before the de. And then finally, il vient de sa maison. Il en vient. We can also use en to replace things that come after numbers. Think of a number as obviously a quantity, just like beaucoup or un peu. If we're specifying a specific number, then there's no de. Okay? So if we say like j'ai trois pommes, I can still replace the pomme even though there's no de anywhere in that sentence. So this is really comparable to the English version of them. You're going to keep the number, but replace whatever it is that comes after it. So, oh, do you have any cats? Rather than saying, I have 47 cats, you're going to say, oh, yes, I have 47 of them. So let's practice with this. How would you replace je voudrais 2 livres? All you have to do is replace the livre and throw our en before the verb, just like we did before. J'en voudrais 2. I would like 2 of them. How about elle mange 20 chocolats? Elle en mange 20. She ate 20 of them. Let's try one more. Vous avez 8 pizzas. The correct answer is vous en avez 8. You have 8 of them.